This is lesson 1 of 2, aimed at students in Scotland studying English at level 4. You will need to pause the video at various stages in order to complete the tasks. The purpose of these lessons is to look at argumentative writing, to find two sides of an argument, find evidence to support the arguments, use a range of connectives, use an impersonal voice, and argue for and against a point of view. So what are the features of a balanced argument? I would like you to read over this example, this sample paragraph, and then pause the video and write down as many features as you can think of or remember about what makes a balanced argument. You can pause the video now. Features of a balanced argument, hopefully you got some of these from the previous task, is an introduction which tells us the statement of the issue that's going to be discussed, a clear presentation of the various arguments. It's written in the third person, so it avoids the I statements. It's written in the present tense, it's happening now. It is written in impersonal voice, so it is matter of fact. It uses a range of connectives or discourse markers to link ideas together. It is a balanced argument, obviously, it's put in the title there, balanced argument, but balanced means that you present both sides equally, and it has some kind of conclusion. Now, you should have got some of these from the previous task and from previous learning. So your task then is to begin thinking about how you would build an argument. So there's 3 statements here, and for each statement below, I would like you to write down 2 things which agree with that statement and 2 things which disagree with that statement. So at least 2 things that agree and at least 2 things that disagree with each statement. Number 1, you should only watch half an hour of television each day. Television here can be any kind of screen time, it doesn't have to be specifically TV, so it can be YouTube, Netflix, whatever that may be. Number 2, it is better to take public transport for every journey. And number 3, tigers make great pets. So 2 things which agree and 2 things which disagree with each of these statements. You can pause the video now. So working at level 4, you have personalisation and choice, so now you're able to choose any topic you want. You can use one of the ones from the previous slide or from previous research or study or discussion that has taken place, but you need to come up with a statement that has 2 clear defensible positions. For example, socialism would improve the lives of many people. We can argue that socialism would improve the lives of many people, and we can argue that socialism would not improve the lives of many people. There are 2 sides there that we can argue. My advice here is to pick a topic that you have some interest in or existing knowledge of. There's not much point choosing something that you don't really care about. If you're going to do any piece of writing, it's useful to do it on something that you want to write about. Try to avoid writing a statement that is clearly one-sided or where it is difficult to argue the other side. So if you use a statement like child abuse is wrong, it is difficult for anyone to argue that child abuse is not wrong, that child abuse is acceptable. So it's not a good topic for this type of writing. You may want to do some preliminary research before you settle on a topic, so have a look on the internet and see what kind of arguments already exist around some of the major topics that you might want to cover. So what I'd like you to do is come up with your topic. So what is your argument going to be? You can pause the video now. Now that you've chosen your topic, you need to begin to prepare your argument. So I'd like you to write down, just from the top of your head, if you know them, some arguments, at least 2 arguments for and at least 2 arguments against your chosen statement. If you really can't think of anything off the top of your head, maybe you haven't chosen the right topic, or you need to go ahead and do some preliminary research. Get yourself onto the internet, have a look and see what some of the arguments are around your topic, and pick out 2 arguments for and 2 arguments against. For each point or argument that you are making, you will also need to provide a link to a reputable source that proves that point. So something like The Guardian or scientific journals, National Geographic, Time Magazine, sort of proper sources of journalism or study is what we're looking for here. Wikipedia itself is not a reputable source, but these pages often have links to sources of information. So you can go to Wikipedia for your initial research and use that as a jump off point, go to some of the citation links and figure out if they are trustworthy or not. So for your chosen topic, writing down 2 arguments for and 2 arguments against, along with a link to a source which proves the points you're making. So you'll need 4 links for the 4 arguments, 2 for and 2 against. You can pause the video now. When we are writing our balanced essay or any piece of argumentative writing or even critical writing, we want to connect our ideas in a clear, easy to follow way. It's using something called connectives, or sometimes known as discourse markers. These are some examples of the types of phrase. There are many others, but these are the kind of things that you should be using to start or connect your paragraphs and ideas together.